Phishing attacks, ransomware, hackers, cyber scammers, cyber criminals, trying every day to get you to click on links that will make you live a life of horror. How do we prevent this? My guests will discuss that. Also in this program, if you are an elementary school student or if your child is one, you must listen to Alonta right on and hear the advice her guests will give to you. We begin with what is making life miserable for so many people who spend hours every day on their computers or even on devices such as this. Let me introduce my guest who works with this equipment every day and will give you information that will save you lots of torment and tears. Larry Lawrence, you are a software engineer. Welcome to Brooklyn 45.
It is good to be here tonight, Sam.
This digital world is supposed to make life easier for us, but for many people, it's the reverse. Why is this so?
Well, Sam, that's a very good question. One of the things I keep in mind with this is, as you said, for most of us, it should make life easier. But in many cases, it makes life easier for a small subset of people who are able to take our resources and use it for their own personal purpose, personal plans. And I think when you go back to the original designers of the internet, they designed it with, I would have to say, a very innocent frame of reference. They designed it to be used by people who had all good intentions. Now, as you know, we live in a world where that's not a reality in most of our places. In some places, maybe we could find it, but in most of the world, there's always a subset of people who are looking, if I could use the word, to sponge off of you and what you have for yourself. And so the internet provides them with an excellent opportunity because it's not required for them to be localized to where you are in order to take advantage of you and your resources. That is one of the greatest fallacy of the internet. The fact that emails, for example, assumed in its original design that when you send a message, only the recipient would receive and, should I say, pay attention to any of the content that you have in that message. However, we find that nowadays there are companies whose sole purpose is really to peek at, take a look at, rip off your content. And their whole business mind is based on that simple principle. Google, for example, is an advertising company. And I'm not by any means knocking Google, but Google's main source of revenue is by reviewing your email. They don't look at it, humanly speaking, because Google is a corporation. So the corporation as a whole does not look at your email, but they do digital samples of the email, your email, and all of its content. And that's what is used to provide what's called targeting advertising. So that if you, for example, on your device, were to visit a particular website, you will find within minutes, maybe seconds, a very relevant advertising.
Yes.
Based on the site you spend a few minutes looking at.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Go on.
Yeah, it's impossible to travel with a Google device or have Google applications on your phone without Google taking pictures that you've taken and assembling a library showing you all the places that you visited that you had no idea was being kept. And it's all in your device, in your account.
When we get all these messages asking us to click on links, what should we do?
It would be the equivalent to a stranger coming up to you and say, "Can I see your wallet?" Some strangers you might, some strangers you may not. What I mean is personally, you need to examine the link that you're receiving. There are many ways that a link can be carefully crafted so that it looks like it's coming from someone that you're expecting.
Mm-hmm.
For example, your bank, your coworker, or it might even be a family member. For example, some of the hackers know that, like myself, you might wear glasses, and so you may have to do like this to see your screen. So you might be expecting an email from Microsoft or a company that starts with M, and they know if they take an R and an NA and put them together, it looks like an M on the screen. So the from message looks or appears to be from Microsoft, but legitimately, if you were to really take it and break it apart, you would find that it's R and A. But you put them together and it does look like it's an M. And so there are ways, creative ways where someone spends, that is the problem, that there are some people in this world that have tremendous skills. And rather than taking those skills and using it to open a legitimate business, they feel like it's more profitable to them to start an illegitimate business. We see this sometimes. We see guys on the street that have tremendous acrobat skills, and instead of really starting a company or joining a corporation or some entity where that could be used, they would rather maybe be on 42nd Street, do a few flips, collect a few dollars, and leave after a few minutes. Not everyone has a mindset of really mastering the skills they have and using it in a way that would gain profit and perhaps benefit society as a whole. Some people look at society as just a pool where if they have the opportunity to pull out some resources for themselves as they need it, that's fine. They have no interest in putting back in. And the kind of society we're in.
Warn our viewers about these type of actions where people can have their username and password being accessed, and how that can be used to steal their money or to steal sensitive information.
Yeah, Sam, what's amazing about this is not only can they steal your money, but they can steal money that doesn't belong to you. But then ultimately you become responsible for it. For example, your credit card. Sure, you may have a line of credit that you have no intention of using on a normal basis, but someone could create an identity based on information that maybe you've thrown in the trash, recycled trash without removing your personal information. It might be emails that were sent to you that maybe someone gained access, or maybe you yourself, let's just personalize it. You yourself may have clicked on a link that looked like it's coming from your bank, paying careful attention to where it's coming from to see that this is not my bank. For example, there are different types of phishing attempts, phishing attacks. There's what's called email phishing, where you get an email and it looks like it's coming from someone that you know, and it might not look like someone is coming from someone you know. But if you were to go and click on the link, be it someone you know or someone you don't know, because even though it looks like someone you know, again, the from could be spoofed, right? The from could be illegitimate. It looks like there's what's called a hyperlink. A hyperlink, I could put your name in it, but that's not what's used by the computer system to forward that information. It's just for human readable purposes. What's underneath the URL is what's really used by the computer to direct the traffic. So for example, you receive an email, it says, this is PayPal service. We have a concern. It appears that your account has been compromised.
Mm-hmm.
And so what does most of us do? We get a little excited without really looking at the fullness, particularly if you've just spent a few minutes purchasing something with PayPal. And so we go ahead in a kind of an anxious state,
Mm-hmm.
and we look at the email and say, let me go and confirm that my account is still active. It looks like it's from PayPal, but it's really the bad actor.
Yes.
On the top level, making it seem like it's PayPal. But if you were to click that link and analyze or inspect the URL, you would find maybe it's from someplace in Eastern, someplace never visited.
Yes.
And this is how it is. So that is the first attack, where you're in a hurry and you get excited on this, click it, and you use it to log in. And without you knowing, the bad actor now captured your login ID and your password to PayPal.
Wow.
That's just the first instance. The second instance, for example, is what's called spear phishing. That's where the bad actor has enough information on you so that they know your name, they know your coworkers, they know certain things about you that's legitimate, and they appear to represent someone else. Hi, Sam, this is your boss, so-and-so. I need you to give me your account login. I'm having a problem. I'm in California. I need you to tell me or give me your password so I can log in and allow certain things to take place, legitimate things that you might be aware of that needs to happen. For example, signing your time card. And so you hand over the information for many reasons, sometimes because of fear. I don't want to disappoint my coworker, or whatever the reason is. We give out information because we don't feel like, I don't want this to come back and haunt me. Or we could go ahead and check, is this really you? How do I know it's you? Yeah. So many times we're tricked into giving out information that comes back to really hurt us.
Yes.
Then there is also what's called whaling attack. It's where someone tries to represent a targeted executive in a company of a high level. So again, I'm your boss, or it might be my boss's boss who is calling. Is your boss in today, Sam? I need to see him. I need to get this information from him, whatever it is. But it puts us in a state where we feel uncomfortable in saying, I need you to authenticate yourself. And so we make a decision to say, okay, well, I don't have his personal information, but I know this, I can give you this information. And if it's done to 5 or 6 people in the company, he has enough information now to make everything he says legitimate. He knows the boss is out today. He knows your name, your coworker's name, the program that you're working on. And so now he has enough information to act as though he is a legitimate third party within the organization. And again, because of fear, we give up information.
That information.
Yeah. Yes.
One of our producers said I should ask you, what is Metaverse and what will it look like for us in the near technological future?
Very interesting. Right now, there is, I'm sure most of you are aware of Facebook. They just changed their name to Metaverse. And so they're really jumping ahead of everyone else because Facebook is a very large company who has tons and tons of illegitimate information that they shouldn't have because of how they work. Their main job is to scrape as much information from the web on you as a person, regardless of whether or not you approve of that scraping, and use it in such a way that they can send targeted advertising to you. There is a big difference between, and I have to make this clear, there is a big difference between Facebook and Google. They kind of appear to be the same kind of company, but let's keep in mind, Google gives us the phone. Facebook gives us nothing. Google gives you the phone because Google is interested in you having a service that they're able to use to provide you in their frame of reference information that you will need.
Yes.
And in many cases, it is true. For example, when you travel, a map, you could figure out where you're going with the Google Maps. Many apps they have that's very useful to us. They're not interested in selling your information to a third party.
Mm.
They use it all within their ecosystem to provide this targeted advertising to their clients. Now their clients say, well, Sam is interested in a size 15 shoes. And so Sam, all of a sudden, you're seeing emails for 40% off size 15 shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be beneficial to you, but it's all within their ecosystem. Facebook, on the other hand, gets all of your information, and anyone who wants to give them $1, it doesn't matter who it is. They hand out your information, your location, your family's location, anything that they can scrape from you. And that's a big difference. So Google is one of the companies who you might say is a positive bad guy. The other ones are mostly negative, bad actors, because they do give you something of value. In other words, as the old saying goes, nothing is free in this world. And if it is, you're paying for it, you just don't know how you're paying for it. So where the metaverse is concerned, it's the whole dynamics of it is changing, because there's basically very little you can do nowadays where you're not leaving behind a digital trail.
Yes.
Our power systems, do you know that our street lights are all on the internet? Our power control systems for gas, water, they're controlled remotely by computer networks, which means that a bad actor in Russia, China, instead of sending a bomb in the old days, warfare has changed so much. Normally, if two countries are fighting, you would send a bomb by airplane, a missile, and knock out their water system, their food supply, and fuel reservoir, and so on. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, you basically use the internet to perform the same operation. If it's our nuclear reactors, they can actually remotely, if there's not sufficient governance and security systems in place, it can actually be, the cooling system can be disabled remotely. And I say this not to scare anyone, but we need to be aware of the world that we live in. It's not just the banks. Sure, the bad guys, many of the bad guys who are looking for financial venues, they're interested in stealing your money. But there are state actors from different countries who wants to destabilize other countries or make it where, how much is the pandemic costing us? Mm-hmm. Because we're not able to work. Now, how much would it cost us if someone were to turn off Con Ed or Brooklyn Union Gas for New York City for 3 weeks or even 2 days? How much would it cost us with the trains and the buses and the traffic lights? It's a substantial hit to our GNP, and companies or states realize this is a legitimate thing, and they could reach over and flip a switch.
Mm-hmm. Larry Lawrence, software engineer. We have run out of time, but we're going to have you back to continue this very interesting and useful conversation to so many of our viewers. Thank you very much for being our guest on Brooklyn 45.
Thank you, Sam. It was my pleasure being here tonight.
And now let's go over to Alonta Raiton. She's with a guest who you must hear.
Thanks, Sam. Approaching the college application timeline strategically helps students and families maximize the odds of getting into their college of choice. In part one of preparation for college admission, our guest, Principal George Leonard, the former and founding principal of Bedford Academy High School and current principal of Campa, walked us through the college admission roadmap starting in 9th and 10th grade. Today, we'll discuss the 11th and 12th grade timeline. Principal Leonard, welcome back.
Great being back, and I can't wait to finish up this roadmap to a successful candidate applying to college.
Wonderful. So let's get at it. So we know that there are a set of strategic actions that prepare our students to be competitive candidates to get into some of the best colleges and universities. Can you take us through what 11th and 12th grade preparation looks like and why these particular actions are so very important to college admissions?
Well, you know, it's a very sensitive time frame, and you know, students need to confer with their guidance counselors so that they can clearly understand what the admissions board are looking for when they receive applications for the freshman year. Number one, they do not see any coursework after the 11th grade because you're applying to college in the 12th grade. And in order to get a jump on the other candidates, you need to have all of your requirements met by the end of the 11th grade. You should have at least all of your Regents credits completed. Start your AP course of study so that you have at least 3 to 4 AP exams that were taken. So then by the summer of the end of the 11th grade, you need to prepare for getting the SAT out of the way, something that you started preparing for in 9th grade from the last segment. You cannot wait until the 11th grade to prepare for the SAT. It must be done at the latest, the 9th, at the earliest, the 6th grade, so that you can at least be able to score above 1,000. Also, you have to make sure you meet all your Regents requirements by the end of the 11th grade. Because when you start applying to college in the fall of your senior year, you have to apply as an early decision candidate. And what that means is that they receive applications before Christmas of your senior year, because that's where all the money is. All the scholarship money is within those early decision candidate applications. So when you start to apply to college in the spring of your senior year, it's too late, because now the colleges have already made their decision on the candidates that are going to get the free ride. What's ever left over, it's in the spring when you're applying in April and in May, taking the SAT for the 3rd or 4th time. It weakens your profile, and it also gives the other candidates it's like an upper hand on what you're doing, applying to the same school. And when we talk about schools like Brown, Penn State, Columbia, Yale, Harvard, the Ivy Leagues, the HBCUs, you want to get into Xavier, University of North Carolina and Chapel Hill, you want to get in Tuskegee, Morehouse, then you have to show them that your scholastic profile is one that they feel will not only have a student complete the freshman year, but all 4 years successfully with distinction. So very important.
So you mentioned, sorry to interrupt you, you mentioned the AP coursework. And so you can talk more about what that stands for and why that's important and what that is and how do you get into AP coursework. And you talked about SATs starting early. And I know the importance of SATs is that the children can take it over and over and over again until you reach your highest score. So talk more about that for us, please.
Okay, now the last thing you want to do is continue to take the same Regents class over, because you can take the Regents as much as possible also, but you want to get a higher score. And when you take the SAT over, you also want to be able to take it so that the score is higher than what you did originally. The last thing you want to do is have a lower score when you're taking it a second time, because the colleges look at that. Also, very important, AP, advanced placement. That means it's a course of study that mirrors what students see on the college level. And the score is from 1 to 5. And if you score above 3, then you can be exempt from that class when you're accepted to college. And some of these schools now, like Bard and Mega Evers and Townsend Harris, these are schools that not only give the student the diploma, but they also give them an AA degree, because they would have taken enough college courses to earn the right to be considered a 2-year college student. So colleges look for that. It's very attractive.
Internships, community service, and volunteerism. Huge.
Very huge. Community service credit is when you're working with a nonprofit organization that is dealing with folks who are in convalescence homes. They're in community centers for young children. They're dealing with foster care, and you're accumulating these credits so that when you apply to college, they see that you have a certain, number of community service credit hours. And it changes from year to year. Also, you have this internship, these summer internships that are done at some of these colleges, and it helps you with laboratory science, computer science, dealing with the STEM program. You want the internships because it makes the application look very attractive, and the admissions boards, they eat it up.
Yes, yes. Again, Principal Leonard, you have dropped some gems tonight for our high school students to level the playing field, college admissions. I thank you for your scholastic roadmap guidance. Our hope is that more and more students will be on track to get into our HBCUs and Ivy League colleges as a result of these 2 sessions, part 1 and part 2. We appreciate you, Principal Leonard.
I appreciate everything that goes on at this station. I love what you folks do here. And remember, students, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, get it done. They're not going to see the 12th grade. It will be too late.
There you have it. Get it done. I'm Alonta Rydon. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Alonta. And to our viewers, we thank you for watching this program. We invite you to partner with Brooklyn 45. You can do this in several ways. You can suggest topics or issues you want us to provide information about. Just go to our website, www, and get information about us. Please tell everyone on social media about Brooklyn 45. On behalf of our team, I am Sam Tate.